This is Melissa Morris, and I'm going to explain some stuttering and voice techniques. The first is slow rate of speech. Slow rate of speech. What we do in this is we slow our overall pacing. We elongate some of our vowels. We add a little bit more space between each word, and what this does is it gives our muscles and the actual motor activity part of our brain, it gives that a little bit of time to catch up to all of the signals that your brain is sending down to those muscles. The next is light contact. So in this one, it sounds, if I was doing light contact, it would sound like this. Light contact. What's happening in this is instead of having really aggressive scraping consonant sounds, I'm making them a whole lot lighter. So if I was saying something really aggressive, I'd say light contact. But with light contact, I'm just barely touching it. I like to think of just walking on water. I'm barely touching each of those sounds. What this does is it makes it a little bit easier for your mouth to gently say the sounds as opposed to getting blocked and stuck in those positions. The next is easy onset. And if I was using that strategy, it would sound like this. Easy onset. What this does is it prevents your vocal cords from getting tightened and locked together. So what happens sometimes is when you're stuttering, things get caught in your throat. And what we want to do is we want to have a little bit of air gently open up those vocal folds so that there's a little more flexibility so that the vocal folds can vibrate against each other so you can make the buzzing sound that we call our voices. So as we are doing easy onset, we're letting a little bit of air out of our throat, and then we have a very gentle voicing. So instead of easy onset, which is really hard, easy onset. The next one is cancellation, and this is a really good strategy if you're in conversation and you've already started to stutter. What you do is you have your little stuttering event. You're like, okay, I just said a stuttered word, and what you do is you go back and you say it again, but the second time a little bit slower, a little bit more clearly. So if I was saying cancellation. So I stuttered the first time, but then the second time I kind of slowed down, I relaxed things, and then I said it smooth the next time. This is helpful in conversation. If you already know you've stuttered, it just lets you go back and have a second chance at saying it correctly. The next one is similar, also something to do if you are already starting to stutter. This one requires you to be a little bit faster in your response time. So this one's called the pull-out method. So if I'm starting to stutter, if I'm saying, oh, I'm gonna pull out, what the pull-out method does is instead of tightening as I'm making the stuttered sound, what I do is I kind of catch myself and then I just relax. I relax my voice, I relax my throat so that the stuttering is a little bit easier, a little bit shorter, and a little more controlled. So if I was going to say, Chris will be here for dinner, I would say, Chris will be here for dinner. So I started to stutter and then I kind of relaxed and got through the end of my word. It's basically thinking, okay, it's not too late to change it. It's not too late to make the stutter a little better. The next is a preparatory set, and this requires a little bit more cognitive reserves. It requires planning ahead. So many stutterers have words that they know, oh man, I just know that I'm going to stutter when I get to that word. What this does is it makes you plan in advance so that before you get to the tricky word, you start slowing down and becoming a little more intentional about your speech before you get to the tricky word. So if I were to say, oh, hello, my name is Melissa, and I know that, okay, I often stutter on my name, it would sound like this. If I was not doing the preparatory set, it would sound like this. My name is Melissa. But if I was using the preparatory set, I would say, hello, my name is Melissa. I kind of paced myself so when I got to the tricky word, I was ready for it and I had more control. The next one is freezing. And this is a way to get a sense of feeling control over your stutter. So a lot of times stutterers just feel like, oh, it happens, it's out of my control, I have no control over this. But freezing basically takes a stutter and it holds it, and you're intentionally making your stutter until you feel like you're good and ready to let that stutter go. So if I was to say it on the word freezing, it would sound like this. Freezing. The purpose of this one is not so much that we want to do this in our regular speech, because that would be really awkward. Hey, oh my gosh, it's freezing outside. That would be really awkward. But the point of this is training in advance that we can have control over how long our stutters are. And if we can tighten our muscles like that and we can voluntarily release it, we're starting to gain that control. So we know, oh, this is how it feels when I relax my muscles. I kind of think of making a fist with my throat and all my neck muscles, and then relaxing that